Hey guys, today I want to talk a little bit more about our fourth tenet, using the correct piece. Using the correct piece can be looked at in a few different ways. Um, the reason I like talking about using the correct piece is I like to imagine that the life that we're leading and the life that we're having is like a puzzle. And just like a puzzle, we can only build it one piece at a time. And everyone has their method and everyone has their style of creating their life. I like to take all of the edge pieces and create the edge first. Some people like to just get started by trying to use the picture included and find pieces that match that color scheme and just get started. So it doesn't really matter your format or your style of creating the puzzle. But one thing that's important is you have to know what puzzle you're creating. Sometimes that puzzle shifts throughout life, right? We create different puzzles throughout our life. I remember when I had little kids and we had those wooden board puzzles, and sometimes the kids would go in and they dump all the puzzles all together, and it would take a little while to sort them out and put the correct piece with the correct board. We're going to be doing that same thing as we're creating goals and we're creating a vision for our life. We have to decide what we want our puzzle to look like. What type of puzzle are we doing? Are we going to do a kitty cat puzzle? Are we going to do a muscle car puzzle? Are we going to do a Taylor Swift puzzle? And we have to figure out why we're doing that puzzle and why we're drawn to it and why it's important, why it has meaning for us. And we have to know what puzzle we're doing in case other pieces fall in the mix. That way we can take a step back and say, I don't think this piece goes here because that looks like a kitty fur and I'm doing a muscle car. And sometimes we have to pull back to get a broader look at the picture to make sure that we're using the correct pieces. Our brain oftentimes isn't looking at the image of that piece. It just wants to fill the empty gap. And as we're addressing our thoughts and behaviors, we have to make sure that we haven't just plugged in a thought or a behavior or plugged in a goal that fills the space. We need to make sure that it was the intentional correct piece that matches the puzzle that we're working on at that time. So making sure that you're breaking down a list of all your goals. What are all the things that you're hoping to accomplish? Why are you wanting to accomplish those things? What do you imagine will change or be different for you if you were to do those things? And then narrow it down to your top 5. And sometimes you have to narrow your one hard thing to your top 1. You only have the bandwidth to work on one really specific goal at a time because you built most of the puzzle, right? There's so many other pieces that you're having to monitor and manage that one goal is enough. And so making sure that you have found the action step or the goal that is appropriate for your stage of life. One of the hardest things is making sure that we are identifying and addressing those negative core beliefs. Sometimes negative core beliefs stop us from taking steps. I could never do that. I'm not good enough. It's too hard. Good things don't happen to me. I'm a bad person. Those negative core beliefs, those faulty core beliefs can really stop us from taking steps to try to become. Maybe we won't succeed at everything. It doesn't really matter because that piece of the puzzle can be, I try hard things. I make consistent effort. I create change in my life. Maybe that piece isn't the accomplishment piece. We also really have to watch our emotions. Emotions are our body's response to our environment, right? And so our body's always trying to pick up on cues to assess for our safety. And sometimes our body has an emotional response and it can feel overwhelming. But sometimes we believe that emotion, that it's true and that it's strong, and we go into it and we avoid or we distract or we stop doing things that are actually really important and they're safe and okay. And so we have to really monitor what are our emotions saying and how are we responding to them? Are we putting appropriate thoughts and behaviors to that emotion, or are we allowing the emotion to take over and dictate our thoughts and behaviors? I want you to really think about what puzzle you're creating, what are the different pieces, and do you need to change the action step piece or the feelings piece or the thoughts and behaviors piece? Like this video, follow along.